Who's making more money? Company A charging $100 an hour or company B charging $80 an hour? Let me break down why $80 an hour could possibly be making more money than $100 an hour. For a service-based business, labor efficiency is one of the most important things you have to handle or figure out. One of the things we get caught into is being busy. You got a lot of work on the schedule. The guys are going out, knocking out things, but it doesn't mean you're making a profit. And what I mean by that is a lot of inefficiencies out there that you may not see, but you're definitely paying for them. Things that contribute to an inefficient labor force is taking too many breaks. So whether you're in construction or lawn care and landscaping, if the guys are going to the gas station too many times or stopping and talking in a truck or pull up and talk, that's a lot of breaks and they're not actually getting any work done. If you have bad route density, let's say that you are driving all over town, you're not in one cluster area like an HOA or having a bunch of homes that's tied together, that's bad route density, you're gonna waste a lot of gas and productive time. And then you have poor teamwork. They're not working well together, or both guys, when they get out the truck, they're not being productive. One guy jumps out, the other guy's sitting there. It could have been done in 15 minutes. Instead, it took them 20 minutes. If you do that on a lot of properties, you end up adding a lot of wasted time throughout the day. On the board here, I broke down how pricing doesn't necessarily equal profitability. Let's say company A is charging $100 an hour to the customer, and company B is charging $80 an hour to the customer. We want to look at the efficiency, which is going to be your time working on property divided by your clocked in time. And let's just go with an inefficient. Let's say this crew over here, at $100, 50% means half your day is wasted. You effectively only get $50 an hour for the day. If you're 60% efficient, you're going to get $60 a day. And if you're 75, you get $75. The way these guys can keep up is, let's say they're giving out P for P, they got their routes tight and they're a lot more efficient than over here. And let's say they start over on this side. So if you're inefficient on one of these two, even at 60%, these guys will beat you at 75. The problem with that is I put down here the customer. So they might be charging for 30 minutes, $40 to a customer. So they could be more competitive than this company is at $100. This might be a weird concept. It took me a while to actually really get everything and apply it with my pricing and understand how that efficiency really affects this whole equation. Because you can be over here and think, oh, I just need to charge more, or I need to charge $60 a lawn, when it's really that you're wasting a lot of time out there. And these guys are competitive when you're non-efficient days on this side. So it's a little, obviously if you can get efficient like 85%, you'll make $85 an hour. But that's very important of why this matters, because this company can have their systems dialed in and be able to compete with you if you're on this side of the equation. And down here, I put like what these guys will be doing. So at 50% efficient, these guys will be doing 8 lawns a day, but they're probably capable of doing more. Again, this is the 30 minutes for $50. You could say, oh, they're making X amount of dollars with less time, for sure, but you got wasted time throughout the day. That's why this efficiency matters, because you might have to be paying these guys more, but they're not doing the 12 lawns or the 13 or 14 lawns that these guys are able to do that brings in money. And this is also a one-man example. When you add another person to your crew, each person, you lose about 75% efficiency, just as an average. We've played around with that too. Our 2-man crews are way better than our 3-man crews. An example I can give you is 1 man could take 30 minutes on the property. Our 2-man crews average about 18 minutes of property. And if I put a 3-man on that, it's 12 minutes of property. Notice when I went from the 1-man to the 2-man, we saved 12 minutes. And when I went from the 2-man to the 3-man, we only saved about 6 minutes. It's an incredible drop off if you add that third person. So each person loses some efficiency. So this company would scale better than this company. Now you want to be on this level, and that's what we're trying to figure out here. If you can charge this, but be more efficient, you're not going to waste that money and time that you put into your pricing. I also want to touch on the capacity effect. So I'm going to use the same crew, like same company here. They can do more jobs and more revenue if they're more efficient. So example A over here, let's say they're running 65% efficiency, which means you're only going to get a $65 per hour effective rate throughout the day. That means you're going to do 5.2 budgeted hours of work for the day and an 8-hour day. This is assuming 1 full day for both scenarios. This person can do 10 lawns at $50 a cut. Again, we're going to do the 30 minutes at $100 an hour. So the customer only paying the $50 because that's what we charge them. Well, this person's going to do $500 a day, $2,500 for the week, or $10,750 for the month. Again, same company, same rates. We're still charging $100 to the customer. We're going to be 80% efficient in this example, which means we're making $80 for the day. This person's going to do 6.4 budgeted hours. So they're doing already an hour 0.2 more than this person over here. They're gonna get 13 lawns done at 50 bucks. That's $650 for the day. That's $3,250 for the week. And that's $13,975 for the month. So you can see here, it's a $3,000 swing, and the only thing that changed was how efficient this person was. Still a one-man example, still 8 hours in a day. The capacity is what matters here. But this is how you get more profitable, because your costs are still gonna be the same here. You still had to fuel both trucks up, you already bought the equipment, you already paid for marketing. So all your costs, without getting into it, is already accounted for. You're just gonna make more profit in this scenario than you're gonna make here, because you brought in more money by being more efficient. So I hope by now I've convinced you that you have hidden profits and efficiency. So how do you fix it, right? You wanna go ahead and audit the start and end of every day. For example, we had to do this. We found out our guys were just kind of hanging out at the gas station. So we all meet up at the gas station in the morning and fuel up. If they really want to get out of there, they could do it in 15, 20 minutes. And the funny reason we know that is if they have to come in on a Saturday, they don't want to be there. Those guys are in and out. So they're going to get to the gas station, fuel, get their coffee for the day, and head out 15 minutes. If they're not really in a rush, it's on a Wednesday. We had noticed that they were doing 45 minutes or 50 minutes. There's no reason to be there. No budgeted hours, so no homes are getting done. So in that example I just gave you, let's say they get there at 7. They should be going by 7:15, and let's say on their first property at 7:30. Versus getting there at 7, leaving at 7:45, and getting on your first property at 8. You're gonna get less done in that day. So you wanna look at that. Are you fueling up at the evening? So just kind of look at that, whether it's yourself or your crew. Your route density, that's something we looked at when we first started, really making money and figuring this whole thing out too. Instead of being all over the place, can you cluster a little better? Can you get more customers in an HOA where you can just drop that gate and hit 2, 3 neighbors at a time? So you wanna get real dense, so you're not wasting windshield time, as they call it, where you're driving around and no one's making any money because you're not cutting grass. You don't wanna do a property, drive 5 minutes, do a property, drive 5 minutes, do a property. You're wasting, right there you wasted 10 minutes. No one got paid during that time. So you're gonna be less efficient for the day. And then your crew size. So if you got smaller properties, sometimes 1 man is good or 2 men could work, but 3 men, you're killing yourself. But also on the flip side, if you're doing a bunch of acre properties or 2-acre properties, maybe you do need 3 guys that really take care of that, because of the mental fortitude you gotta have. If it's just one guy, you're just out there making passes, you might fall asleep. I think my nephew fell asleep one time on a big pasture before, or you just don't want to be out there in the hot sun beaming on you. So if you get 3 guys in that scenario, it speeds the time up. But usually if you're residential, you're in a city or something like that, you're gonna wanna have 1 to 2 employees. 3, you really start losing efficiency. And then P for P, so you wanna incentivize people to move better. You wanna make sure that their efficiency is tied to their pay. So you give them a base rate and then you go ahead and compensate them with bonuses if they're more efficient. And that way you ain't gotta debate about it. Maybe one crew is more efficient than the other crew. As I showed you before, they make a little bit more money if you're crew B, and they're getting more of that cut because they get bonus based on how much more effective they are out there.